And we are going to,
Here. There's one. Are we live? Are people able to hear us?
We have to check it on our phone.
I see a thumbs up, I think, from Vince. Can you hide those for me, Bob? All right, everybody. Good morning. I'm seeing messages on the chat right there. Thank you, Bob. Come check in about 57 minutes, see where we're at. Good morning, all. Welcome back to the Buyerside chat. We established that name at our last go around that we had back in December. Feel like that was a good one. We had a few different options with the Buyerside chat. Mike threw it out there and it seemed to have worked. It stuck. I like it. And we're gonna go on with that. So thank you everybody for tuning in live up and down the valley. Who knows, people may be out of state. So if you're around the country, around the world, welcome to the Century 21 Jordan Link Buyerside chat. I'm Adam Roman. I manage the portable office. If you haven't gotten to meet me yet, give me a shout, shoot me an email. We've got Michael Gutierrez here.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're excited to do this for you guys, and we hope we bring you something that you can use.
Exactly, that's the ideal goal here. Mike Allen's here.
Good morning, everybody. I'm glad you guys could virtually make it. Some of you almost made it, but you're not on yet. But those that are, we appreciate you, and we hope we give you guys some outstanding information today. I think you're going to find, you know, our tone is very optimistic based on what's going on with the market, based on how the company is performing. And so I think we have a lot of good news for you guys today.
Yeah, it's exciting. Optimism is kind of what I'm hearing all around, not just from these guys, but from the agents that I have in my office. And I would imagine that you guys are all feeling the same way. So that optimism and what's come up from 2024. Good morning. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. We are live. Thank you for coming in though. We're going to make sure that
Sign on the door, right?
yeah. We were talking about optimism right there. So 25 is a new year. 24, how did that go? Let's talk about that for just a second there.
Sure.
Quick little recap of you know, how you guys thought 2024 was versus, you know, the expectations.
You know, 2024 for most of us was a year that we worked twice as hard to make half the money. And it happens in real estate, you know, in other businesses, when times get tough, they take more time away, but in real estate, we really dig in and we work really, really hard. And I think I'm just proud of everybody for working so hard, for trying to keep their mind in the game. And it's just one of those where, even though we felt the pain as a company and we were feeling it for all of you as agents, our reduction in total transaction count was less than the market. So we did much better than the market, but it still hurt. Mike, your take?
Yeah, look, guys, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was a tough year. You know, a lot of you struggled with sales. A lot of you thought about whether this business was right for you. And I think the majority determined that, look, real estate's cyclical. There's ups and downs, and we just have to be relentless and roll with the punches and keep going in spite of failure, in spite of obstacles, in spite of markets. Because one thing that we can't control as brokers and realtors is the market, right? That's something external to us. It's out of our control. All we can do is adjust how we approach it. And I think really the first mindset about 2024 was you know, just adjusting up here in terms of how we're viewing it, and whether we're going to let it defeat us or whether we're going to keep moving forward. I can tell you the company ended up year over year, not dramatically, but we were up about 3 to 4% in units and about 10.5% in sales volume. So we actually had a better 24 than 23, albeit 23 was no great shakes, right? So being slightly better than 23 isn't anything to brag or pat ourselves on the back about. I would say we had one of the worst fourth quarters I've seen. Very, very slow going into December.
Do you think that was just for us, or
No,
that's all around? That's not specific to.
It's every market in the state, pretty much. Everybody, you know, I research all the markets in the state. You know, almost without exception, every market and region of California had a horrible fourth quarter. And so that's where I know a lot of you said, hey, oh my goodness, is this where I want to be? I mean, I may need to do something else. Am I not doing the right things? And I'm here to tell you, you know, we were all victims of the market, but you know, that doesn't mean we should have a victim mentality. I always like to think we should have a victor mentality, which means we're going to win no matter what. We just keep going. Again, you guys are relentless. It's one of our four core values. I think when times get tough, that really shows the caliber and quality of the person, right? How you react to adversity, how you react to these obstacles, and whether you keep moving forward. And really, it's about continuing to be the authority with your clients, your center of influence, the people around you. Because what we dealt with last year, particularly with the NAR settlement back in August, is we got a black eye, guys. We had people beating us up, thinking we were overpaid, that we were all out driving Ferraris and having 3-hour, you know, liquid lunches and wearing these ridiculous costumes. And really, you know, you guys know I'm referring to things like selling sunset. We got sensationalized. And the reality is, you know, we work hard for our money here in the Central Valley. We have to do volume to make money. We can't do just 3 deals a year and be done, you know, at each deal about 3 to 5 million. That's not what we do. We have to move the volume in order to make money at this. So the reality is, you know, it's just about working hard and continuing to move forward. Hey, here's the good news. 2024 is behind us. We don't have to think about it anymore.
That's right. You mentioned, you know, how many sales somebody would want to do each month. Michael, if you guys don't get a chance to watch the Monday Masterminds, it's every Monday, it's 9 a.m. with Michael. We're going to touch on this in a little bit, but he had mentioned just the difference in if your mindset is one house a month, okay, you know, that will pay the bills. But if you just bump that up by 2, I mean, all of a sudden, that's a game changer.
Changes your life.
It really, really does. So, you know, thinking of better goals for 2025, it sounds like, again, that optimism is pouring out from these guys. Is there, I mean, people have New Year's resolutions. We're in February now, so I don't think there's going to be a lot of resolutions that have stuck for most people. It's just how it goes. You know, once you get through that first week, usually they're gone. But 25, any resolutions that have stuck or any resolutions that have already dropped off?
I think there's both. Mike, do you want to take this one first?
I'll take it. Some of you heard me. I do think tank on social media. It's got a decent following. I keep doing it because a lot of people seem to find value. But one thing I talked about with New Year's resolutions is a resolution is something you either stop doing that you shouldn't be doing or start doing that you should be. But the problem is the average person by the 3rd Friday of January stops whatever resolution they made, right? They just fall back to what they were doing. And I talked about it within the context of revolution. A revolution is something that's worthy of our thought, worthy of our effort. It's something bigger than ourselves. That's a monumental change in how we're doing things. It's basically a paradigm shift in what we're doing. And so when we really tag it with the term revolution, it becomes more important. And really what it is it's a lifestyle change, right? We have to change our habits and our lifestyle in order for that to reprogram our blueprint, if you will, and just become a part of our daily lives, like, you know, subconsciously. And so I think this year going out with that mentality personally has been a lot more compelling. And I feel that I personally stayed on the wagon, you know, particularly with my fitness.
And make
you know,
one of us.
I mean, you know, people think, well, Mike, I know you work out all the time. You seem to be in pretty good shape. But the reality is I struggle, guys. I struggle with both my physical self and my mindset, just like everybody. It's a struggle. And I do fall off the wagon and my blood work gets out of whack. And I just have one of those makeups that I have to stay on top of myself or things go wrong. And I think when we put it in terms of revolution, it becomes a long lasting and permanent change.
Yeah, and I think for me, I'm going to piggyback on some of what Mike said. One of the things you've heard me say, and I want to repeat it so you hear it, and I really want you to take note and do this year. Everybody comes up with resolutions, right? The majority of people. But if you don't come up with new habits, new routines this year, then you're not having a new year, you're just having another year or a next year. And if you want to change your life, if you want to improve your quality of life, your family, those that you care about, you have to get some new routines. And you have to make a difference. I mean, we're going to get into this a little bit later, but the difference between a really top producer and somebody that is just hitting a little bit less is work ethic. And that is the single biggest difference. It's not ability, it's not intelligence, it is that. But you know what they do? Is they make a commitment to themselves and their family to really get to work and to treat this like a career. And so if you want to have a good year this year, really pick up some new routines. And for me, I've always been a little bit of a workaholic. It's just the way that I was raised. And I'm finding that now that my wife and I are empty nesters, is that I want to spend more time with her and just with us. And for the first time, we can be kids again, right? And so for this year, it's not about working less, but it's about taking 3-day weekends and then making the best of those. And if you don't protect your personal time in this business, for all of you out there, it'll get away from you. This business will swallow you whole. And so you got to protect what's important to you. So this year, I challenge you all to protect some weekends with you and your family and your significant others, but really pick up some brand new routines. Otherwise, it's not a new year, it's just another year.
That's a great call. And for those of you agents out there who are into farming through a lot of the different apps, you heard the word empty nesters there. Don't call Mike. It's one of those things, you can search on farming sites for empty nesters, reach out to them as part of your cold calling, reaching out. But you made a great point of taking time for yourself and making sure you don't just get swallowed up whole. I may plug this a couple different times, but it's because it's relevant. Mike Allen has his book, which a lot of you agents have. If you haven't had a chance to go through it, it's about, quantum, time management, a lot of that. There's chapters that are dedicated to it and managing that time. He gives a pretty good rundown in one of those chapters of, hey, try this routine. If it doesn't work, modify it, but keep a routine going. And you find yourself having more time, more structure for this year. Like you said, not make it just another year, a new year.
It's finding more quality time where it counts. Because if you don't plan it, it won't happen.
Yeah, exactly. Well, with that, like I said, so far I'm excited about where this is going and where it could go for 25 for each of you and for the company, which trickles down to each of the agents here. Just this past weekend, if you checked your email, which hopefully you didn't check it too much over the weekend, but you did see something that came in from Mike Allen. It's this one. It's the 2025 annual report. It's his president's report. Mike, you're going to do something, I think, company-wide for this one in a few weeks. I think date is still to be determined right now. But, just talk to us just a little bit. How long have you been doing this annual report now?
So this is the second year that I've put out the report, and I had come up with the idea, actually poached the idea from another large brokerage back east at one of my broker masterminds a couple years ago. And this person, this president of this multi-office company, about our size, started putting out an annual report on how the company's performance was and also how the market was doing in their regional areas. And they really utilized it well as a tool, not only to educate their agents, but also get that pushed out to the marketplace and to their clients, to their center of influence, their leads, whoever it makes sense to get it out to. It's free to push out digitally, in print copy, and it's a really valuable tool because it goes into the Central Valley markets. So the gist of the report focuses on Fresno, Tulare, Kings, and Kern counties. Haven't integrated the Central Coast in yet. We will probably on the next report, but it shows how the general residential single family sales market's doing. And what the changes are year over year, and really what the trending is. What are the trends in terms of demographics, demand, and then we drill down. There's a real nice segment that I want you guys to focus on, and I'll go more into this in my live presentation here in the next couple of weeks. But really, the cost of waiting, the impact of price appreciation versus interest rate.
Yeah.
So I actually came up with this model and produced a table there. Thanks to Chat, my good partner Chat GPT produced a very nice graph there for you guys. But it's pretty awesome how they put that graph together. And it really shows the fact that, look, if a buyer's saying, I'm going to wait for interest rates to go down, because I don't like a 6.5 rate, then what's going to happen if they waited till July, for example. And the reality is waiting just for that to tick down, even a quarter point in 5 months with what we project appreciation to be, they're actually going to come out $60 a month more, even though the rate was a quarter point better 6 months later, right? And that model holds true. And even if there was more of a drop in interest rates, well, what do we know about interest rates dropping? What does it create? Creates demand, right?
So high
So when we have
prices.
more demand, what happens to prices? They accelerate higher. So it's really, we have to really preach the narrative to our buyers. It's counterintuitive to really wait. The best time to buy a home is today, as long as you're qualified and can afford the payment. There is no value to waiting and speculating. You're not a Wall Street investor. So stop thinking like one. Start taking advantage of your appreciation now. So that's a great model, but just look through it, guys. There's a lot of gold nuggets. I make my next 5 bold predictions. I didn't hit all 5 last year. I think I hit 3 out of the 5. But that's what are bold predictions. You know, if I went 5 out of 5, I would be a full-time professional gambler in Vegas. So, but I do feel the ones this year are pretty compelling. There's probably 1 or 2 surprises in there that I touched on this year that's going to directly impact the Central Valley.
Was there a surprise? So you mentioned last year's report, you hit 3 out of 5, which that's, and something like that when you're forecasting, for as, volatile as 2024 was, I think most people were going to take that and run as much as they can. Was there one of those 3 that you felt the most confident going to 2024? Like this one was going to hit. I know that this is how it's going to play out.
Yeah, interest rates. So I predicted sub-6 interest rates. I felt by at least the 4th quarter that we would be back down with the Fed's aggressive rate reduction program. And they reduced in 2024 a full percentage point on the Fed funds rate. Now we know the Fed's funds rate doesn't have a direct impact on mortgage interest rates all the time. It kind of has a peripheral impact, but we figured the 10-year treasury bills everything would follow suit, and it didn't. Well, there's many factors behind it. You're in an election year, you're in a robust stock market where people would rather keep their money in equities and mutual funds, ETFs, than put them into 10-year treasury bonds. So we didn't really have a lot of demand. And so at the end of the day, it didn't help us lower rates. In fact, what did rates do? By the end of the year, they actually went back up again, right? So that was my biggest shock that I wouldn't have even thought that rates would be sitting at 6.9% at the end of December.
And even this year, it's still, I know that's one of the things, I don't want to spoil too much of what's in here for this one, but I know rates are a big thing that we talk about. It's on the left side. Just yesterday, for instance, I keep track of as much as I can when it comes to rates and everything else, because we look at those things all the time. Our screen's right there. It's okay. Wells Fargo, for instance, they came out with their forecasting for 2025, and it was something to where they didn't see a large drop at all. They just thought it was going to be something that's going to be flatlining. So with yours, I think we're expecting it to drop a little bit towards the end of the year. Yeah. And hopefully that will bring, people some hope and ideas of what's going to happen with the rates. Everybody can take a guess, take a stab at what the rates are. If you were at a Super Bowl party this weekend, people were asking you probably about rates. You were talking about real estate. That's one of the biggest things. As soon as people realize you're a realtor, they want to talk about real estate.
Oh, they all got questions. Is it a good time to buy? When are rates going back down? When are prices dropping? We get it all the time. I have a lot of fun with it. It's just, it's the classic response that you have to give everybody. The best time to buy was 10 years ago. The second best time is right now, if you can financially afford it.
So the trends for the market, I think we're seeing that prices are still going to go up.
Yeah.
No matter what, the value of everybody's home is still increasing. Nothing is decreasing with that. And that's something that's been pretty constant for the last how many years? I think I did a meeting last week, and we were talking about Tulare County. Just the median price in Tulare County in 2019 was around $248,000. This is in 2019. By the end of 2024, $380,000 as the median price for Tulare County. I mean, that's just within 5 years. In 5 more years, I don't think it's going to go that much for, the median price, but who knows, by 2030, I mean, I'll just throw it out there, bold prediction for 2030. If just by that, this is how I got questions from the group that I was presenting to saying, well, if I buy now, is it going to increase that much? Well, maybe not that much, but it's still increasing year over year consistently.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's what real estate does. I mean, it increases over time, no matter what. It's why it's still the best investment that you can make personally. But What's interesting of going back to rates is I think we need to stop getting too caught up over rates. There's no magic, inflection point. There's no magic number that's going to create a perfect equilibrium that we need between inflation and demand. I think, it's compelling. I shared with, I believe in one of the Visalia sales meetings in early February, this past couple of weeks ago, where we ended up as a company. So January over January. So January 25 over January of 24, the company's pendings in 25 or 24 were 98. And 25, the company put up 133 pendings. That's a 36% increase in pendings month over month, year over year. And then our sales volume in 24 was 30.3 million company-wide. And in this past or last month, it was 51.7 million, a 70% increase in sales volume, which means we put up some big deals. I think that's well above the median, definitely. But here's the compelling part of that. I mean, as great as that is, and as excited as I am about how well we're starting, interest rates in 2024, that month were averaging about 6.69%. Interest rates in this past January in 25 were at 6.95%. So higher than last January, yet we did a lot more volume. So what does that tell you? It tells you that people are getting over this hedging and waiting for interest rates. They're getting over the lock-in effect if you're a seller sitting on a rate. People are realizing, look, rates are fine. I can't qualify for that $500,000 home anymore. Like if rates were at 3.5, but it's okay. I can still get a very nice home in the 4s. We need to keep preaching this, get over rates, because rates aren't permanent anyway. You can always refi. Let's get you into that home today and take advantage of appreciation.
Yeah, appreciation equity, right? That's how people that's how they grow their own wealth right there. They're not paying somebody else's. We've been preaching it. I think that's the first thing that I heard, about real estate is you don't want to pay for somebody else's, mortgage. You want to build your own wealth in that.
Right.
And so, 25, we already know it's getting better. And how do agents, how are we going to increase our own personal market share, as an agent? Mike, I know this is something that you talked about in some of your masterminds of what agents can do to grow their market share in 2025 specifically. What are some things that, agents can, whether it's old school or new school, what are things that you're doing, you're seeing?
There's a lot of little things people can do, but the most effective is the most basic. And that's simply increase your work ethic. Start treating this job as a career. Start showing up in the office. For some of you, 8 o'clock is a good time. For some of you, it's 9 or 10. It depends on your personal life, but start coming and spending 3 to 4 hours in the office every single day, because it gets you away from the distractions of life and the distractions of home. And you can come in and really get back to prospecting. You got to do what Mike calls in the book, money building activities, right? Monetizing activities. And so what that is, it's really basic. I mean, when was the last time you got your phone? I mean, everybody has one of these. When was the last time you got your phone and started calling everybody from the top down? And there's no real magic to it, but it's really reminding people what you do for a living. Get in there, start calling everybody in your phone, friends, family, other real estate agents, call absolutely everybody in there and remind them about what you do for a living. Hey, look, my name is Mike. I'm still in real estate, and I just wanted to remind you of it. It's been a while since we spoke, but it's 2025. I could really use your help this year. Who do you know that wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? If you call another real estate agent, it's somebody that you've done a deal with. Hey, Joe, how's it been? Hey, we haven't done a transactions in a while, but I want to let you know that I'm working with buyers and investors now more than ever, and I'm still taking about 20 listings a year. If I have a listing coming up that I think is a good deal for you, do you have any buyers? And you just start to re-network with the people that you've done business with in the past. There's no magic to it. The difference between the really high producers and the agents that are just making a living, it's simply they make more phone calls. They're making more contacts. That is it.
Yeah.
If you're having real estate conversations, you're gonna get some leads. And so number one, do more of that. Number two, Mike talks about this a lot. Do some social media marketing. Get out of your comfort zone, but start using ChatGPT or some kind of AI to really leverage some of the stuff that, you only have so much brain power that you can use before you just get burnt out, and use ChatGPT to really give you that edge and do the stuff that you're not good at. If you're great with documents, but you're not good at marketing, Start getting some ideas on marketing from ChatGPT. If you're great at marketing and not the other stuff,
Yeah.
use it to your weak points. And I think that's really what's going to set some of the agents apart this year, is those that are using ChatGPT will get to the end of the year not feeling burnt out, while everybody else is going to be burning out through the middle of summer. Leverage your tools, leverage your company, come back to us, but increasing your market share comes down to one thing: more realistic conversations.
And that's, one of the questions that I had on here was, the biggest factors that separate top producing agents from the rest. And it's something as simple as that, of just reaching out.
It's
And
mindset.
Yeah.
It's mindset.
A lot of it's mindset. You mentioned, ChatGPT, and hopefully a lot of you have used it. I know it's been used in training sessions. Bob has gone out to all the offices to show agents how it can be used. The question now for you as agents is, are you actually utilizing those tools? It's something you don't want to just copy and paste. A lot of the time you can see, if this is something personal for me, if I'm looking in the MLS, I'm able to tell sometimes, agents who are just copying and pasting, they throw something in there real quick because there's these emojis. It's not how they talk. You just can tell the difference a lot of the time. So one of the things that something like ChatGPT is, it starts to know exactly who you are, how you type. It curates it to your personality, which is maybe frightening for some, but from a marketing standpoint, for people who have, difficulty coming up with those marketing remarks, those social media posts, anything like that, it's giving you the template. You can still modify it and make it in your language. You don't have to just copy and paste, but there's the primer. It gives you the baseline, and you're able to go from there. Mike, I know you've been using this.
Right.
You've been on the front lines of this one for a long time now. So
since it was released in November of 21 for beta testing, for free, for that matter, I like things that are free. I was on it that first month, so I've been with it since it went public. And now they have a monetized version. I use the premium monetized version because it does so much. I work this thing every day. It's like an employee that's the most cost-effective employee I've ever had. And I mean, it's saved me so much time, so much cost, even legal fees on stuff that I might have had an attorney draft, that it just drafted a perfectly legal document. I think the big fear with AI is, particularly people that aren't techie, is that it's something that's hard to use, and really it's not. If you know how to communicate, if you know the English language, ChatGPT speaks English. Speaks 50 other languages as well, but English is one of them. Part of the fear is agents feel that they're going to be replaced by AI at some point. Like these Zillow bots will come out of nowhere, these androids that walk around AI, and they're going to take our jobs. And that's not.
I thought Terminator 2. I know
right,
what Skynet
exactly.
is. I've been worried about that since 1991.
iRobot, whatever. But yeah, Blade Runner was one of my ones that kind of freaked me out a little bit as a kid watching that.
But science fiction was something that a lot of people grew up with, and now it's
coming to reality, but it's not dystopian. It's not doom and gloom. I think it's very optimistic. So agents will not be replaced by AI, but agents not using AI will be replaced by agents using AI. Think about that. You will be replaced here over the next year or two, not 5 years, 1 to 2 years. If you are not using AI in your day-to-day business, marketing, helping you leverage your time, creating quality content, whether it's social media, print marketing, digital marketing. If you are not using AI, you will be left behind. Trust me. And we're committed as a company, and I think we have one of the best prop tech AI guys out there. He's been touted as the best in the country, which is Bob, leading the charge. And we are going to make sure you guys don't get left behind. But look, you got to get on the bus here, or you will be left behind. So we're going to be, that's one of the exciting things we'll be doing this year, is we're going to be doing a lot more training on AI and how to integrate it in your business. And we'll be introducing tools out there as they become available and effective to you as well.
Yeah, prop tech is something that I know this company has invested a lot in, because it is the future. It's what's going to be one of those differentiators, and will separate, top agents and top brokerages like this one from others who are taking advantage of that landscape. We have so many different programs that a lot of agents don't utilize unfortunately. And that's what, myself, Larry, Angela, Sandra, Michael, we're here for, whenever you go into the office, increasing your market share is by showing up,
Yep.
going to the office, asking us what are those things, attending these sales meetings, attending these trainings. I mean, each week, there's something scheduled, at least 2 or 3 times a week between all offices, right?
Easy. And we have something every day of the week, really, at some office. Well, we have,
Yeah, Kevin does his on Fridays. We know that each week for the forum. So if you're wondering what's going on with forums, there's something that's recorded. If you don't get a chance to watch it then, ask for the recording. We've got those ones saved. And if we don't, we're going to find them for you. I know in Wednesdays, I believe in Fresno, or one of those days, Jessica Souther, she's a forms trainer. She does forms training. In my office, we do our sales meetings, but I've done, AI meetings for different agents who want to come in and see that. Here at this office, just tomorrow, I think Bill Hill's going to be here. He's still showing up to the offices to do these trainings. Tomorrow, I believe, is going to be a solar course, a market update. We always want to know what's going on in the market because it lets you be able to talk to your clients and tell them what's going on. They want to know that you are informed. And if you're not sure, there's a little app for that. ChatGPT, the OpenAI concept, it's something right there. If I asked it right now on my phone, hey, can you give me the market stats for Tulare County? Do you know what it's going to do? It's going to search for the market stats in Tulare County, and I'll have that in 30 seconds here. So utilizing that going forward is definitely a huge way that I think agents are going to see a difference in how they perform in 2025, right?
Yeah, I think the world has become impatient, and that is true not just of agents wanting technology and some help, but it's extremely relevant when it comes to your clients and what they expect from you. The reality is that they're using their phones and technology more than any other buyer in history.
Yeah.
And so they can find the house they want without you.
Exactly. Agents or clients they're sending
They're
it to
sending
us
the house
before we're sending anything to them.
And the reason they want you is they want somebody to walk them through the process because it's stressful, it's contracts, it's things that they don't know of. And AI will never replace that. It will never replace human contact.
Yeah.
And so as real estate agents, you gotta really just kind of endorse and really become part of what they want. The experience that they're looking for is an agent who will take care of them, who will give them the right answers, who will be honest with them, but is also on the leading edge of technology.
Yeah.
They don't want you, faxing them a contract.
Right.
They don't want you emailing them unless it's for e-signatures, right? They want to be communicated in a certain way. And it's really about being adaptable.
Yeah.
And we got agents in this that have been doing this for 40 years who think that they don't like change, but in reality, they've learned contracts, they've learned the computer system, they're now texting their clients, they're using the phone, they have handheld computers in their hands.
Yeah.
And they're like, they have this mentality that I don't want to learn something new. But you learn something new all the time in real estate. It's just the mentality. They have to really kind of accept it, really.
The world's changed so much just in the last few years. I mean, we're doing these meetings on Zoom. Everything can be streamed.
Yeah.
A majority of people are now working remotely, which for us, we'd love to see your faces a lot more. I know every other manager and people who are in the offices, they want to see everybody too, but it's become so easy now that everything, like you said, is at our fingertips, that it's become a bit more challenging to adapt to that, but the successful ones will adapt to that. And that's a big thing for that personal touch with your clients. It's something I know you touch on Mondays as well. So those masterminds, again, I'm going to plug those for every Monday, 9 a.m. Mike goes live with it. And there's different sessions that he talks about. This past one yesterday was specific to
Personality styles and becoming a better negotiator.
Yeah. And what are a couple of the other ones for letting people who are afraid to just talk to somebody. There's a lot of nervous individuals. They're shy, they're introverted. They don't talk to people like 20 years ago to where you would just go up to people, you wouldn't be texting them all the time. You'd actually need to reach out. You'd have to call them. You'd have to be face-to-face, that interaction. That's changed a bit.
Some people get cold, some people get cold sweats just thinking about talking in public or calling a stranger on the phone. And it's really learning who you are first, so you know how you operate, and then being more of a chameleon or adjustable or versatile to help all your clients. The reality is that we have things that make us nervous as people. It's human nature. And it's about learning your weak points so you can make them stronger.
Yeah.
And for me, it was knowing the contract. When I didn't know the contract, it made me nervous to work with doctors and attorneys. Once I learned that contract inside and out, I was no longer fearful. I just knew that I could handle my own regardless of who I was helping. And it really gave me the kind of confidence that nobody can take away.
Yeah,
But
I think that goes to preparation and just preparing for something empowers you to go out with authority. And I think a lot of the nerves related to, meeting with clients and doing a listing presentation, or even getting up in front of people, or doing a podcast or Zoom meeting like this, it just comes down to preparation. I mean, if you know the subject matter, content, you know the script, dialogues, you're going to go in with a level of confidence. Whereas if you're trying to be last minute and didn't really prepare before the meeting or the night before, you're going to be nervous, right? And so I think we're in an industry that is very runs the gamut with level of professionalism, and that's been one of my big points of contention for years. Is just the lack of professionalism we see in the real estate profession, and it really stems from people not treating it like a real career, not treating it like a real business, and really just not being educated and prepared. A lot of agents are running around out there with 5 year ago knowledge. I mean, some of them are still not completely up on the NAR settlement changes and what that means, and some of them are still looking for the SPVB when they write an offer. And they can no longer find it in their zip forms for some reason, go figure, but they disappeared and took December off. So I guess they didn't see the form changes come out. So that's scary. I mean, that's ridiculous. And so this company for, 47 years, I think are we 40, almost 47? I think we're about getting 48. It is really focused on training and education for that reason, because we want to have the best and most definitive professionals out in each of our marketplaces. And I do think we carry that banner. I get feedback all the time from other brokers, other agents out there about how professional you guys are at Century 21, and they know when they do a deal with you that the deal is going to be easier, that you're going to do your job. You're not going to turn it over a TC and disappear somewhere and then show up for your commission check. You'll be there the whole time, and you'll be communicative. And I'm proud of being leading and being associated with a company like that.
You mentioned the word professional and professionalism. That's kind of the big takeaway that I get from this and from the company. What separates us, I think, as a company, besides the core values of doing business the right way, being relentless, is that level of professionalism that we bring, and that you guys try to instill in each of the agents. Which, again, just being professional, that will increase your market share. There's so many little things right there. I want to talk about real quick here. I mentioned Mike Allen's book earlier. It's been a labor of love, heartache, probably a lot of other adjectives and words you would use to describe it, but it's a huge accomplishment. And if you guys haven't had a chance to read it, it's actually a quick read, guys. I mean, these chapters are 11 pages, 12 pages long. It'd take you 10 minutes, go through it. But you talked about in the book, in one of the chapters, the big why. Everybody's heard that phrase, what is your why? Know your why. In real estate, that's what we talk about, I think, whenever we're bringing on new agents. What is your why? Why do you want to do this? Are you doing it for the right reasons? Tell me about having that clear purpose, having that big why. How does that relate in real estate?
Well, it's interesting because I think that the connotation or use of what is your big why is almost become a buzzword.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or a platitude. And so I think people don't take it serious. I think people's inclination is, well, what's your big why transitioning into real estate? Because it is most people's second or third career. Very few started in this profession. And if you started in it or still in it years later, congrats to you.
Good for you.
You guys made better decisions earlier on. But I think it's tantamount to what we do, because the average answer again is, well, I want to make more money. Okay, well then, but money is simply a tool. So if you get more of these tools or a bigger tool, what do you plan to use that tool for ultimately? What is your end game? And so, look, guys, it's not about just making more money. I mean, that's the easy out. So I talk about in the book a tool that was developed by Sakichi Toyoda, who is the founder of Toyota company, car or motor company. And it was called the 5 Whys technique. And basically it's just asking the question on any given topic 5 times in a row. So each answer, you're going to question, well, why? Why is that the case? Or why do you feel that way? And so using the 5 whys technique as to why did you get into real estate is compelling. And I talk about my example with a lady, an agent named Sue in the book, and that is a pseudonym, no pun intended. Pun intended, actually. But I think I did change all the names in the book to protect the innocents. I know that some of you have already come to me asking, is that
Are you that person?
I think I know who you're talking about. So you may be right, but I'm never going to confirm. But Sue started with, well, I need to make more money, and I'm like, okay, well, why? And then we drill down, and I won't spoil the whole thing, but because it's kind of, I mean, you kind of shed a tear when you get to her real answer. And just know how she grew up and what her fears were and her experience with growing up and what her self-limiting beliefs were. And she had dealt with imposter syndrome and really getting to the real why, what ultimately became more about her and what she really needed out of life to be fulfilled and happy. And, for me, when I asked myself, it ended up being something bigger than just beyond the real estate profession itself. But, it's really about, leaving a legacy of substantial impact by helping others succeed through real estate and beyond. And it became a mission of mine. I just want to see as many people succeed. And I'd like to have some part in that, really focused on the real estate platform or arena. And honestly, that's why I ended up transitioning out of sales in 2013 and getting into management, ultimately, broker and owner, is because I love helping people succeed. I really do. And that's where I get most of my fulfillment. And look, if I do a really, really good job at that, I know I'm going to get rewarded financially, and I'll have more of those tools to go out and live the type of life I really want to live and provide for my family. So think about that. It's not a joke. It's why you're doing this. It needs to be in writing. It needs to be in front of you at all times. It needs to be on the wall in your office or your cubicle or on your refrigerator at home. I mean, I used to have it plastered everywhere. Now it's just so ingrained in my head, I don't need to have it in front of me anymore. But go back to it. So when we get to the darkest winter months of fourth quarter last year, particularly December, when half of everybody disappeared, literally the last 2 weeks of December was a ghost town, even our own company, unfortunately. It was just scary, scary. I mean, I thought there was like a nuclear attack, and I don't know where everyone went. They were in bunkers somewhere. But I think about, okay, should I be in this business anymore? Should I be in this profession? Is this right for me? Maybe I just had a good, couple years, and it was just a fluke. I don't think it's repeatable. And go back to your big why. Why did I get into this to begin with? Why did I take the chance, the risk, make the investment? Why did I quit that, lucrative day job that I had that I was doing fine in, I could have retired fine with and would have had a decent normal retirement and nothing to worry about. Why did I take all those chances and risks? Because that 5th why on the 5 whys technique, I guarantee you it's worth it. It's important enough for doing what you did, and we need to go back to that.
Yeah, and something, I won't have you go through those steps. Read the book, guys. Read that chapter, and you'll get to know, Mike's big why. And he talked about it here. Writing it down, that was something that I took from that chapter. And I'll be, perfectly honest. It's something, people do vision boards, something that similar mindset of, dream it, achieve it, have it in front of you. And I'm somebody who just, it's never been my style. It really hasn't, but they make a difference if you actually do it. And, that's my own ignorance in that, for not actually taking advantage and doing that. And something as simple of coming up with those big whys. You look at the 5 steps on there and write it down, and you'll see the impact that it had on Sue and the impact that it had on Mike whenever you're actually doing it. Michael, the big why for you, whenever you got into real estate versus now, I'm sure it's probably changed a little bit, or is it the same?
No, there's an underlying big why that I've had as a personal reason that has stayed with me almost my entire life. When I came up with it, really through some help of a teacher that I had in high school that really was one of those special people who just ended up being a teacher after he had a career in something else because it was just his calling. And really, I found myself kind of lost really at the time. And he was the first one that taught me the concept of there's a bigger purpose of you being here. You know, growing up Catholic, you think it's all about the book and everything else. But really what we came up with, and it was really him that walked me through some steps, it was, why am I here? And at that young age, I just knew that I was here to help people. It's something that I've always felt a calling with. One of my favorite songs of all time has been Lean on Me since the time I heard it. And it's kind of my own personal mantra, if you will. And so since high school, I've had a why. My why is to positively affect those people around me. When I became a dad and a father and a husband, my big why has been my family. It's being there, it's being a provider. Can I do a good job? Can I be a good role model? And that has sustained me up until we became empty nesters. Now they're having their own lives. I'm like, my God, man, we poured everything we had into them.
Yeah.
And now they're gone. And so I find myself really leaning back, and it's really become about my wife and I again. But that underlying thing of, can I be a positive influence to people? Can I have a positive impact on them in some way? Sometimes it's just a smile. But having a big why, regardless of where you're at in life and whether you ever had a big why or not, it is what will motivate you to go forward on your toughest days, when you don't want to make a phone call, when you lost in the escrow, the seller wants to cancel your listing, the appraisal came in short on your other ones, all your escrows fall apart, your paychecks you were counting on aren't there, but the bills keep coming in, and you find yourself in a spot and you're really wondering whether this is what you want to be doing or not. And it is those big moments like that, those really tough emotional moments where you need a big why to push you through.
Yeah.
And it is when you have to dig down deep. And if you can make it happen, and if you can just dig yourself out and go to work, and you realize that you've had that potential inside of you the whole time, that is what your big why is about.
Yeah, everybody falls down.
Everybody falls down, but you got to get back up, right?
That's it.
So
Yeah, and not everybody gets back up, just in real estate.
Right.
A lot of people have fallen down these last few years, and a lot of people decided, nope, I'm not getting up from this. I'm getting out of this industry. I mean, we've seen that just in the last couple of years, not necessarily with Central and Jordan Link, to where I think the agency has grown over the last few years, but just in general, realtors have gotten out of the market because maybe they didn't have that big why. They just thought it was something they could do on the side. They saw their friend doing it. They saw it on social media. Mike talked about, shows. It seems like it's only increased the number of real estate shows that have been on television, whether it's on Netflix, Bravo, you name it. There's more and more, and people think, I can do that. Well, as soon as they get knocked down, they realize they don't want to get up. So having that big why is a big reason why people get back up.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that, the agent census nationally and down to the local level always fluctuates indexed with good and bad markets. So obviously we saw a peak in 21 and 22 of agents back in the market where everybody's brother, sister, even their dogs and cats are getting licensed and selling. But the reality is that's always short-lived. I mean, the people that are going to last are people that do know what their big why is, they embrace it, but they also do what it takes to get through those tough market cycles. One of my bold predictions, if you haven't, read the report yet, I'll just kind of touch on it here. It's just that I think there's going to be a significant amount of unskilled agents leaving the market this year and next year, even if the market improves, which we know and we're projecting it will, because it's gotten too volatile in terms of the changes and the way things are working, and it does take a more skilled agent to navigate through these types of changes we're seeing, with the NAR settlement and even beyond that. And the prediction that I agree with that Buffini came up with in his bold predictions for this year is that over the next 2 years, meaning this year and 26, approximately 30% of the agents will leave the market. And that's huge. And I don't know that we've seen that since probably about 07 to 08 timeframe after the Great Recession and the big market crash. But I do believe that it will be along that vein. And that's good. That's a good thing, because you that are committed and understand your big why and are going to stay relevant and stay at the forefront and be operating off of today's knowledge, not 5 years ago, will succeed. And what happens when agents leave the market? What happens to market share per agent? It goes up. And that's a real opportunity for this year. and next. So hang in there. Things are only going to get better for the skilled agent.
Yeah, it's quantity, versus quality, 30%. I mean, you got 100,000 agents, you drop off 30,000. That's a huge number.
It's a
That's a
big number.
That is a massive number. Those 30,000 agents, maybe they were non-producing, but I guarantee you some of them were. So those clients, where are they going to go? They're going to look for you. They're going to look for the people who are professional, that are skilled in what they do. And, I'm hyping the company up because that's what we do. I think that's a big part of what we provide and what you guys have provided for the agents. So, having that big why and seeing those shifts change, being ready for it, being prepared for it. One of the big shifts, I think, with the company for this year is going to do with a lot of new construction that's coming up. I know that there's some projects that are in the works. Some of them we probably can't even talk about that I don't know about. But there's some active ones that are happening now. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the company really made a decision. We knew we were struggling with getting resale inventory, just like everybody. And we've always preached about new construction being a supplement to inventory for many, many years, and making sure that we're getting our clients out to the subdivisions and personally introducing them there at the model homes and getting the signature, getting our signature on the referral card there. The importance of that, but we really thought, what if we just double down and go and try to create relationships with builders and bring some of that business in, and we did have a pre-existing builder relationship for the last 5 years, which has gone well here in Visalia, our tract at Willow Springs on Walnut and Santa Fe area. But we were able to hire a great sales manager that had some relationships with a couple different Valley builders, and we formed 2 new relationships this year. And we do have a neighborhood open with one of them, your Valley home builder in Porterville, which is Royal Oaks. We're about 2 months into that subdivision over near the Walmart distribution center area of Porterville. And we're doing really well with that. And that project, we think, may be sold out by the end of this year. It could leak into next year, but we've got another one I can't talk about coming in right behind that, that's much bigger. And then we also are representing the villas at Sierra Ranch with Summit Home Builders over in Tulare. This is a brand new luxury home gated community, about 92 lots. And these are just premium semi-custom homes, surprisingly starting as low as $450 on up, but so many upgrades. You could do so much to these things. By the time you're done, it doesn't look like your neighbor's home. It's just amazing product quality. Again, gated, secure, right next to over on Hillman near the outlets, right off of Hillman where Chicago Title is. You're positioned in a perfect spot. How would you like to leave your luxury semi-custom home and walk over for an afternoon of lunch and shopping at the outlets in under 5 minutes? Just an amazing opportunity. And so we'll be starting we're already taking pre-sales on that, but we're ready to blow out our marketing package. We're just dotting the I's, crossing the T's right now. And so that'll be launching, and then another one behind that one. So again, it's an opportunity for you guys to go out and ideally bring a lot of your buyers to these developments, and let's do a lot of business this year with new construction.
It's a big thing. I know agents have been looking for different ways, because just where I'm at in Porterville, the listings they're low. The average price of a home there versus Visalia, it's crazy, because you get so much more here in Visalia versus in Porterville, just because we don't have the supply. Right. So agents have been looking for different avenues, and now you guys have found new avenues for the company, yeah, for agents and for their clients who are looking to get those builder incentives for who knows what the loan officers will be offering, whether it's 2-1 buy downs. There's usually some sort of incentive, whether it's closing costs, anything else, that new construction has provided for a lot of people over these last few years or so. Right. And now it's time for us to really step on the gas with that.
Yeah, definitely need to leverage and keep new homes really at the forefront of your buyer shopping activities. And we know that a lot of buyers say, I don't want new homes. I want mature landscaping. I want a mature neighborhood. And the reality is, I don't know that they know what they really want until they see it. So we again need to be taking our buyers, whether they want to or not, by some of these neighborhoods that are in the areas that they're shopping in. And it's amazing once they walk through a model home and see what's possible, how many of them change their tune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One way to stay in the know for these projects is by showing up to the sales meetings whenever we can start talking about these things. You'll find out more, you'll find out before anybody else in, Tulare County, Kings County, Kern County, Fresno County, wherever you're at. You are going to have firsthand knowledge at the source versus everybody else who's not going to have that inside, that inside hook for it, which is going to be a huge benefit for, I think, a lot of the agents and the company. So show up to sales meetings, find out this information, check out your emails. All this news is being talked about whenever it can be, but just by joining us, here for something like this, we're able to find out new information, what's coming up with the company. We're getting close to 10 o'clock somehow. An hour has passed just like that. I got a few other topics on here that we're not even going to get to, so it's a nice tease for the next one. But some closing remarks, some statements, key takeaways that you want to pass on to the agents. Michael, we'll start with you here.
I think we go with your next question because it's a good way to close out the meeting.
Perfect. Okay, so the question that I had on here, it's something that I think a lot of agents want to know. We talked about the big whys, but people who get knocked down, the failures, things that have happened to them. So I did have this on here as far as just one time that you got knocked down as an agent. For both of you guys, a failure that just it hit you.
Yeah.
What was one of the biggest things that you can share with everybody here?
You've heard the saying that life gives you the test first and the lesson later,
Yeah.
right? And so it can be a brutal teacher, but I think for me, and given my personality style, I can think back of this transaction where this gal came in, lost her husband in a car accident, had this lump sum payment, wanted to buy this house cash. And I was doing the best that I can. And she ended up buying from the listing agent, then coming back for help later because she paid over pricing in a time where nobody was doing that because the RO market was huge. It was 2010, 2011. And she came back and I just felt so bad that she got taken advantage of, in my personal opinion. It just bothered me to my core that somebody would do that to a single mom of several kids who lost her husband, right? And it bothered me. And I went home and I talked about it and I talked about it and I talked about it. And I kept telling my wife, and my wife's like, hey, look, I'm tired of hearing about it. Somebody took advantage of her. It sucks. There's people like that out in the world.
Mhm.
But if you can't get over it, you're going to have to get out of this business because it's eating you alive. And it was really, I was losing sleep. And it was really, that situation can happen to all of you in a different way. And it's learning to not carry the baggage in real estate. It's learning to let go. You're going to lose customers. You're going to lose listings to other people. Your neighbor's going to list with somebody else. A sibling might buy from somebody else. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's how you put yourself back together and move forward. If you don't learn to let go in this business of certain things, you will burn out. And so it's just a lesson to everybody. Learn from it, move forward, make more phone calls, outwork your competition, start with your phone and just start making more phone calls. But for me, it's learning to let go was difficult.
Yeah. Mike?
I think I have a story along the same vein, and I had been working with one of my mom's coworkers that was looking to buy a house, and very finicky, very picky between him and his wife. Showed him over 20 houses and just tedious, always wanted to see house after house. They like one up near the River Island Golf Course. We make an offer on it. It was actually one of Louis D. Moda's listings. Made an offer on it, got it accepted. And going along, and almost 30 days in, they just realized they don't like the traffic noise coming from Highway 190 behind the house and decide to cancel the deal. So they canceled the deal and back to the search again. And this has been at that point, it had been about a 4 or 5 month process. So they wanted to see a house. And generally it was when I was gone, I was traveling with CAR back then. I was president that year, and I was on a business meeting in Sacramento, and the gentleman called me and wanted to see a house. I said, hey, I'm not available. I'm in Sacramento, but I will have my colleague go show it to you if that's okay. And he's like, yeah, okay. And so colleague reached out, he wouldn't answer the phone. So as it turns out, the gentleman went directly to the listing agent and made an offer directly, and got thinking that he would get a better deal anyway, and got the deal accepted And then, I called him, a day later and found out all of this, and I was just devastated. I mean, how many dozens of hours I had invested, the fact that it was my mom's coworker, I expected more loyalty. And the gentleman even said, my wife told me not to do this, that we should have written it through you. But, I just have to get the best deal we can, and you weren't available, so I just had to make a business decision. And at that point, you just want to quit. I mean, I think a lot of you have dealt with that out there. But like Michael, I mean, it was a lesson learned, and I understood that that's just going to happen no matter how good you are, no matter what you do, how much you try to take care of the clients. We can't let it stop us. Failures are lessons, and how can we do better next time? How do we avoid it? One of the things that I garnered from that is I stopped working with a-holes. I'll edit a little bit. I was doing well enough. I was putting up a lot of business, and at that point I was like, you know what? I'm not going to work with people I don't want to work with anymore. I've laid enough foundation. There's enough rail on the train line there to where I don't need to be compromising anymore, because what is your piece worth? And my piece is worth a lot more than one potential commission. So think about that when you guys are choosing the people you're working with.
Yeah.
It's always better to work with a demographic you can get along with and have some commonalities than people that just are going to steal your piece and keep you up at night.
It's a beautiful thing we have, as independent contractors, as most of you are, you have a choice in that. That's it. Mike made that choice that person was not going to be worth the stress, the time, the headaches. I've done that myself. Michael, I'm sure you've done that plenty of times. It's one of those things to where, it's undue weight that's on your shoulders, that's on your minds, that everybody has a choice to that. If you want to, hey, maybe they work well with somebody else, refer them. Get yourself still a piece of it. If you've got an agent in the office that you think would work better for this person, you have those choices, and making the right choices, making the smart choices is something that, all of us can improve upon, and doing things for the betterment of ourselves, our minds. And that's going to be a big thing, I think, for 2025. Well, guys, anything else that you wanted to touch on before we get out of here for the day?
Look, 2025 is predicted to be a very good year from all sources: national, CAR, local market. Please be a part of tomorrow's class with Bill if you can. I've done a couple of market research and some market updates for a couple different groups, and I agree. I agree that not only are we going to have more transactions in 2025, people are getting used to the interest rates. I do think that they'll fall slightly by the end of the year. It really, right now, with less competition, because people are getting out of the business, it's going to really depend on you to make those phone calls, stay positive, and really dig down deep and just make it a go. Just, don't take no for an answer. I've always said that when you're not trying hard enough, you're being selfish. And just because it's uncomfortable, don't say, just get to work.
Yeah.
Think about everybody else in your life, and think about them and do it for them if it's not for yourself.
Yeah. I'll close with this. The agents that are going to succeed in 2025 are the ones that, number one, have the right mindset, but equally as important are the ones that are open for business, meaning that they are putting in a full-time, consistent effort. Their clients know when and where to find them, and they're available to do business, and they're making those outreaches and communicating consistently. I guarantee you, this business is a meritocracy, and a meritocracy is the essence of capitalism, and why this country is so great and why it's just getting greater as we speak is because the more effort we put into our professional business or endeavors, the more return. And those that stay consistent, show up, and are doing it full time will win 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited for what we got here today, guys. Show up to the sales meetings at your offices, whether you're in Fresno, Bakersfield, Visalia, Hanford, Porterville. If you guys want to join one of mine, come next Thursday. I'm going to have Brittany Scholl over there. She's going to be speaking probably for like 20-30 minutes. If you haven't had a chance to speak with her, she's fantastic. She runs Central Valley Real Producers. I know a lot of people know what that magazine is. It's become a big hit, but she started that organically. It's something that she wanted to do. Come over to our office, check it out. 2025 is gonna be an exciting time, guys.
Yes.
I'm pumped to see what we have. Stay tuned for the next one, next edition of the Buyerside Chat. We'll see when it comes up, but we're gonna do this ones pretty regularly. We're excited to have everybody here today. This is gonna be me walking over awkwardly to the camera in just a second, signing off. But thank you all for joining us
Thank you,
today. Go on Amazon, get Mike's book if you haven't got it. I meant to plug that actually. Put a review on there, guys.
Please.
All of you have
Please.
books. If you're an agent here, you've got a book. I went over there on the weekend. I put my review in, put a photo of the book. I'm plugging. He didn't know I was gonna do this,
Thank
but
you.
go on Amazon, look up Mike
Yeah.
Allen's book, The Quantum Real Estate Agent.
And audio is available now too.
As of January 27th.
That's correct. So if you, for those of you who don't like to read hard books, audio is available.
Go check it out, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.
We'll see you next time.